The US dollar has been the global reserve currency for approximately a century. And we can sit here as we did this week and talk about all the macroeconomic factors of why that is. Liquidity and capital markets and all the ins and outs that make something a reserve currency or not. But the fundamental reason something becomes a reserve currency, the world's leading experts on currency will tell you, including at the Atlantic Council, is the rule of law. But another way to say that is trust. Trust that fundamentally you will be treated fairly, there will be a process if there's a dispute, that you understand the system, how it works and how it doesn't. That trust was hard fought for and hard won by the United States. We often romanticize the 3 weeks in New Hampshire in 1944 as when the world came together and set out a new international economic order and created the dollar as the global reserve currency. But the truth is much more complicated. There was wrangling and backstabbing and negotiation and suspicion, countries not wanting to deal with each other, bilateral negotiations just like we see this week. And what emerged from that meeting was not a consensus. It was a precarious and tenuous agreement to see if the United States, as the leader of an international economic system, could earn the trust of the world. And they did it. The United States did something that no superpower in the history of the world had ever done before. They shared their power. They built a rules-based international system. And that system benefited the world, but it also benefited the United States. It generated enormous prosperity in this country. We overlook that history at our own peril. Are there deep flaws in that system? Of course there are. Have they built up, especially in the past 20, 30 years, to the detriment of American workers and workers around the world in advanced economies? There is no doubt. Is reform needed? Of course. There is absolute unity across the IMF and World Bank about the need for reform. But those who seek to deconstruct a system that was built over nearly a century have an obligation to share the vision of what comes next. This world that we have built, this economic order, is imperfect. But it represents the consensus of the citizens of the countries that these ministers and governors represent. And the brilliance of this system is that every country has a voice. And working together, they build a stronger global economy. We may have forgotten those lessons as a century has moved on. And it may be painful for all of us as we seek to relearn them. But we have to come out of the other end of this, not just in a bilateral world the way we operated before the Bretton Woods system, but a way that shows we have learned and not forgotten the lessons of history. That is what we will be committed to at the Atlantic Council, and that is what we will continue to work on in the days, weeks, and months ahead.